The Browning M250 caliber heavy machine gun did not win World War II through technological novelty or finesse so much as an ironclad combination of relentless reliability, ubiquitous presence, and the industrial muscle of the United States that put it into the hands of nearly every American unit from the front lines to the skies. Introduced into a conflict defined increasingly by firepower and logistics, the M2 became a symbol of American doctrine: favor material superiority, simplify the weapon to the point it could be produced and maintained in vast numbers, and then use overwhelming volume of fire to shape battlefields. German accounts, from Luftwaffe pilots forced to break off attacks over Stuttgart to Panzer commanders inhaling the acrid tang of sprayed .50 caliber fire in Normandy, repeatedly described the same phenomena, a weapon whose psychological effect often matched its tactical lethality. Men like Oberst Hans von Luck, General Leutnant Fritz Bayerlein, and General der Fallschirmtruppe Alfred Schlemm recorded the bewilderment of troops who faced defensive fire that could be laid down at ranges beyond those of typical rifle-caliber systems, who saw entire streets and hedgerows raked by sustained bursts, and who encountered aircraft whose nose and wing-mounted Browning arrays transformed fighter bombers into flying batteries. In aerial combat, the M2 extended the danger zone for air crews. Bomber gunners could weave overlapping belts of .50 caliber tracers at distances up to 1,800 meters, creating apparent walls of steel that perforated approaching fighters and frightened attacking pilots into conservative tactics. Fighter bombers such as the P-47 Thunderbolt added yet another dimension. Their concentrated M2 armament, combined with high rates of fire and armor protection, let them deliver attacks measured in thousands of rounds per minute, turning strafes into a form of engineered annihilation against soft-skinned vehicles, troop concentrations, and exposed positions. On the ground, the M2's presence was ubiquitous. Mounted on half-tracks, jeeps, Sherman tanks, in coaxial or pintle mounts, naval vessels, and on improvised urban barricades, its heavy rounds could penetrate light armor, demolish engine blocks, and instantly neutralize exposed crews. American doctrine institutionalized this ubiquity. Logistics and doctrine worked hand in hand so that units were rarely lacking for the weapon or its ammunition. Factories cranked out not just tens of thousands, but by some counts, nearly 2 million guns over the period, backed by a supply of ammunition measured in the billions. The effect was to transform a tactical tool into a strategic instrument. Reconnaissance by fire became a deliberate tactic: sweep a hedgerow or courtyard with bursts and watch what moves. And convoy protection shifted from evasive driving to a forward doctrine of protective overlapping fire. Urban suppression tactics depended on the M2's ability to lay down sustained, accurate, heavy-caliber fire from concealed positions, channeling and grinding down enemy movements. The psychological toll on German soldiers, trained in a culture that prized tactical cunning and efficient use of limited materiel, was profound. They confronted an opponent whose simplicity of armament was paired with such industrial redundancy that losses could be replaced and firepower multiplied at will. Where once a carefully planned ambush might decisively disrupt a column, the presence of multiple .50 caliber mounts and their logistics train turned many such actions into grinding attrition in favor of the attacker. The M2's service life, extending decades past its wartime baptism, underscores the design's core virtue: reliability under harsh conditions. In mud, salt air, dust, and the shock of repeated firing cycles, the Browning's fundamentals: a robust receiver, a short recoil design adapted from a century of small arms evolution, and ammunition that delivered terminal effects at long ranges, meant that the weapon did what was required without complex maintenance or fragile subsystems. The historical legacy of the Browning M2 thus lies not only in the casualties it inflicted, but in the larger lesson it embodied for modern warfare: industrial capacity and doctrine that prioritizes redundancy and simple maintainable tools can reshape the battlefield more profoundly than the most elegant but scarce technologies. In the end, German officers and soldiers confronted not merely a gun, but a manifestation of American wartime economics and strategy, a weapon system whose effectiveness came as much from assembly line production, logistics, and doctrine as from any single design feature. And the wartime record shows how material abundance, applied with disciplined doctrine, can become as decisive as any tactical innovation.